Hello and welcome to Speaking Out on Financial Abuse, stories of survival and hope after financial abuse in a marriage or romantic partnership. I'm your host, Lori G., and today I welcome financial expert and popular podcaster of the show Everyone's Talkin Money, Shari Rash. Shari's going to talk to us about money and how our mindset is everything when it comes to approaching finances, especially when you are someone who is starting over after an abusive partnership. Shari, I'm excited to have you here and welcome to the program.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited for the opportunity to speak with you and your listeners.
And it's pretty global now. Where in the world are you? And where are you originally from?
I am in Charleston, South Carolina. I'm originally from South Jersey, very rural part of South Jersey, but I've lived in Maryland, Virginia, and then landed in South Carolina. So I've made my way down the I-95 corridor.
So you like humidity. What do you like about that type of climate?
All day, I'd rather be hot and sweaty and gross than freezing. I hate being cold. Even I say the winters here are too long. So I'm fine with humidity. I'm fine with standing somewhere and just sweating. That is fine with me. It beats being cold any day, in my opinion.
But isn't Charleston like Jurassic Park down there a little bit?
It is. There are a lot of bugs, a lot of animals. I have a pond in my backyard and there's alligators. There are lots of bugs, lots of lizards. There's all kinds of birds in my backyard. So it is lots of wildlife for sure.
Well, tell us how you grew up. What was money like growing up in your own family?
Money was kind of open in my family, if you will. It's not as if my parents talked about how much they had or how much they didn't have, but it was not a negative. Money was definitely not negative growing up. I think I also was very just aware of money. Like I have memories of my dad paying cash for a lot of things, like always using cash. And then I remember when we would go to the store and he used his credit card, I remember thinking like, ooh, he's spending a lot of money right now. Like it's going on the American Express. Like I understood that. So I could pick up on things. My dad would talk about the stocks that he owned and there's pictures of me as a baby on his lap in front of the computer. So it was always very open what money in general. And I think it naturally became an interest of mine.
So where did it start for you in becoming interested in the financial field in general? Where did you go to school and how did your professional experience come from your interest?
I originally did not have any interest in going into finance. I did ultimately end up graduating college. I went to Temple University in Philadelphia with a finance degree, but I got there the long way. So I originally wanted to go to school to be a news anchor. I wanted to be a news reader. So I wanted to just read the news. I didn't want to put like my own personal spin on it or commentate. I just wanted to read the news. And that really doesn't exist. And when I was in college and I would explain that to my professors, they're like, you're living in the past, kind of like that's not really a thing anymore. And I'm like, oh, well, that's too bad. Journalism just wasn't clicking for me, which is funny because it's like now I am kind of that with my podcast, like do give my commentary, but a lot of my podcast is factual and using my notes. So it all kind of came full circle. So I'm like, well, what do I do if journalism's not going to work out for me? What do I do? And I was fortunate enough that Temple has a fantastic business school. So I first started out in accounting. A business degree is pretty transferable. Like the skill set can apply in many different ways. So I first went into accounting and I was like, oh no, this is not going to work for me. I am not an accountant. So then I ended up in finance and then, okay, financial advisor. That's what I'm going to do. So I interned for some financial planning firms and I really liked it. I really liked being in front of clients. I liked the problem solving element of it. I liked being able to speak with my clients. Everyone had a different issue that you were solving for. So while I was in college, I got my licenses that I needed in order to be a financial advisor. So then when I did graduate, I was able to hit the ground running. However, though, I was shocked that no one was giving their life savings to a 22-year-old fresh out of college. That was shocking to me. So I'm like, well, I have to pivot. I have a tough road ahead of me. So I stayed in finance. However, I worked more on the backside where I worked for product companies. So investment products that financial advisors used. So I was there for about 13 years or so in 2 different companies, and financial advisors were essentially my clients. So I called on them. I traveled the country, met with different advisors, helped them with understand their businesses, what their clients needed, and I would help them identify solutions. And then about 7 years ago, I was like, you know what? I love what I do, but I still wanted to go back to advising. So I was able to take all the experience of all the advisors I worked with over my 13 some years to create my firm, who I wanted to work with and how I wanted to serve my clients.
So you started with advising professionals and then kept that mission in your heart that you wanted to also go directly to the client and have more of that direct relationship.
Exactly. I've always had like an entrepreneurial mindset or spirit, and I spent thousands of nights in a hotel room, hundreds and hundreds of flights, and I was really wearing myself out for someone else, for someone else's company. And I said, although you love what you do, Shari, this wasn't necessarily the end goal. Like, let's go back to where you kind of started. And if you're going to put all of this effort and tear yourself inside out, do it for yourself and do it where you can help the end user and help the public. So that's what I did.
Well, your mission is to help women, and you quote this on your website, get clear, organized, and confident with their money. Why do you think women in general tend to be less confident about their financial decisions? And why are they often less assertive about their financial decisions?
We could have a whole podcast episode or series all about this, but it's so many things. First off, women couldn't have financial independence until 1974. Anytime before then, if you wanted to buy a house, if you wanted to have a bank account, you had to have a male co-signer on the account with you. So if you were a single woman, you didn't have a husband or a partner to sign with you, who'd you go to? You had to have your father sign with you. So that wasn't that long ago. That's still in our society. That's still way back tucked in our brains because it still wasn't that long ago that women could not have complete control and autonomy over their finances. So that's there. That's always like the overlying theme. But then if you think about the way we grew up or the way we were taught to talk about money or not taught to talk about money, like talking about money is taboo. It's not ladylike to speak about money. It's rude to speak about money. Well, how can you become more educated in something if you're not allowed to talk about it? And I think that's an issue that many women have had. Like, you've heard the phrase, do not talk about money, or it's not nice to talk about money. And we want to be good girls, so we're not going to talk about money. Another issue too is that men and women think and communicate about money very differently. Men, if you were to put a bunch of men in a room or think about like a cocktail party or a barbecue that you've been at and guys start talking about money, the conversation usually goes to the latest stock they picked and why they made so much money on it and their returns and all of that. Where if women were to talk about money, it's more of day-to-day money, like, oh, the price of groceries, the cost of summer camp, that kind of stuff. It's more how money affects you or how you can use money to achieve something. So that's how women think of money. Women think of money as a tool to achieve things, where men think of money as performance and gathering and accumulating. So if a woman was in the conversation of all the guys and they're talking about returns and all of this, puffing out their peacock chest, if you will, she's going to leave that conversation going, I have no idea what they just said. This makes no sense to me. This is obviously a me thing. I just don't get money. This is a me problem, where that's not true. It's just a language difference. It's a difference in mentality. And that's what happens a lot, is that women will hear men talk about money because men are more comfortable talking about money, because men generally have more confidence when it comes to money. And a woman's just like, this is not my lane. I'm going to get out of it. And I'm never going to enter it because I'm just never going to get it. And that's not fair. The problem is that most women have not spoken to someone that can speak their language language when it comes to money. And it doesn't mean they're dumb or they don't understand it or they're less than. It's like someone speaks French and we speak English. It's just a different language. It doesn't make us less smart because we don't know French. Same way it doesn't make a woman less smart because she just doesn't speak about or talk about or think about money the same way men do.
So you started your firm, GWA Wealth, to help clients with investment and financial planning. But then you also started this global podcast to talk openly about the challenges of developing literacy and confidence when it comes to money. What sparked your interest in taking on this additional career of being a podcaster when you already have what is obviously a growing, busy financial firm?
Well, one, I'm the queen of just doing way too much. I was just this morning, I'm the president of the PTA. I was just this morning setting up breakfast for teachers.
You're one of those people.
Yes. I put way too much on my plate. So I'm sure there's a lot to be studied there. But I really found working with women, once they find a place where they feel comfortable to ask questions, they found a resource that they trust, then it's like, I want to learn. Women want to understand as much as they possibly can about money. Because it's like, oh, cool. Like you speak my language. Now I want more. Now I'm comfortable with you. Now I want more. Now I feel safe to ask these questions because I'm not going to be made to feel dumb or silly for asking them. So that's the first thing, is that women then just start getting really comfortable. The second thing is I have found that to make a big financial decision, for example, when you leave your company and you have your employer-sponsored plan, your 401k, your 403b, it is generally recommended to roll that over into an IRA, an individual retirement account. But if you've never done that before, that's a really big decision. You really want to understand, where is my money going? What's the tax implication? What's the process of it? And I found women are not comfortable making those big decisions, like a rollover, for example, if they are not confident in the small decisions that they make every day.
Well, also, when you don't have a lot of literacy in any subject where you are going to be talking to somebody who does, you are vulnerable to condescending statements and you feel condescended to. I think that that's the hardest thing, is not feeling like you are just so small when you talk to financial professionals.
Absolutely. And that happens so often. I'm using round numbers, but about 15% of financial professionals, advisors, planners are female. 85% or so are male. So if you are saying, I want to empower myself, I want to take the next step, I want to get help when it comes to my money, there's an 8 out of 10 chance, if you're doing some Googling or getting referred, that you're going to get referred to a male. And again, if you're there by yourself having this conversation with a male, you're speaking 2 different languages, you do feel like you're being talked down to, or you could actually legitimately being talked down to, right? And not every advisor is as aware of how differently men and women think about money. And a lot of times too, people in finance, they speak to show you how much they know versus helping you know more. So there is a lot working against women if they do want to learn more about their money. And there's not that education about the smaller things, the stuff that does keep us up at night, the checking account, the emergency fund. There's not a lot of info about that, or there's not a lot of coaching about it out there, because that is not the way financial advisors make money. They make money from investing your money and charging a fee or receiving a commission. So they're not financially motivated to spend an hour to talk to you about your savings account or your emergency fund, because they don't make any money on that. Financial planners help you plan. They look at everything. Fiduciaries give you advice for a fee. It's like a therapist. You pay your therapist for your hour session, no matter what you talk about. A fiduciary financial planning advisor could very well work the same way, where you pay your fee. And we're going to talk about anything and everything, because that's our time together. And that's the compensation.
Well, anyone coming out of a domestic violence relationship, and I'm sure you've had plenty of clients that you have worked with and listeners you've had that are either starting over, especially somebody who's been in a legal marriage where finances most likely ended up in some kind of mess or even in bankruptcy. They tend to feel pretty hopeless and helpless about recovering any of those dreams they used to have for their lives. A lot of women who listen to this show have been literally wiped out and are in debt from their abusive relationship and have no idea how to start over from scratch. What is square one for someone who, regardless of age, is having to start over completely, even at an older age, but does want to recover those dreams? They still want to have that trip to Tahiti. They still dream, even though it's now a million miles away from reality. And I'm sure you see a lot of clients who have either had to start over once or maybe even had to start over more than once. How does it tend to begin? Does it begin with your mindset?
It does. Your mindset around money is so important. And I do believe that everyone has an energy when it comes to money. So we want to be open to it. We want to be open to money and just get out of the mentality of, and I know this is easier said than done, but get out of the mentality of, I'm never going to get there. I'm never going to be able to build my dreams. I'm never going to be able to do this, because I believe that that closes you off. So let's just be open and let's acknowledge where we are. If you are starting over, let's acknowledge it. Let's sit in it a minute and okay, at least we know where we're starting. By being humans, we attach emotions to our money. We attach emotions to all types of things, but we attach a lot of emotion to money. So I'm never going to get this. I don't understand it. I'm never going to get out of this hole. All of that stuff. Or I have only X amount of dollars. That's so bad, or whatever it is. And we attach our emotion. So as much as we can remove the emotion from it, and we're looking at facts, because a dollar amount is a dollar amount. It's not good or bad. We're the ones assigning good or bad to it based off of some preconceived notion or some past experience that we've had. So let's remove the emotion as much as we can from it and first look at it as fact. These are facts. These are numbers. And that's something I help my clients with a lot is you don't need to tell me, oh, I'm so bad at my budget or I'm so bad at investing. That's not helpful. So first, let's remove the emotion from it as much as we can. Again, I know easier said than done, but then it's let's look at where you are. What assets do you have? What is your income? What is the money coming in versus going out? Very basic 101 is let's try to not have more go out than what comes in. That's very basic, but that's where it starts is where is your money going? What's coming in? What's going out? And that's the foundation of everything first.
It must be difficult when you say you need to remove the emotion and look at the facts, because the facts are you're handing a piece of plastic and you're going to get that dress, but it's going to take you about 13 months to pay it off. Those are the facts. And do you find it difficult to get people to remove that emotional kind of high that they get from being able to purchase things to now saying you need to start and really look at it hard? Those of us who have been through domestic abuse do tend to overindulge sometimes afterwards. It's you almost want to deny yourself nothing because you've just had nothing or you've been in charge of everything. So you couldn't spend the money on yourself. So how do you get out of that mindset?
That's emotional spending. So why are we making this purchase? Is it because I've never been able to buy myself a dress and I'm doing it? Or I don't have to hide this purchase. I don't have to feel bad about it. So I have no one to answer to anymore. Or I want to feel pretty and I just want this. What is the reason behind it? So I talk a lot about emotional spending and also values-based spending. And I've had clients that are emotional shoppers. I'm an emotional spender. If I'm happy, I'm buying something. If I'm bored, I'm buying something. If I'm in a bad mood, I'm buying something. So I recognize it in myself. So I'm an expert in this and I'm still guilty of it. So I get it. So if you feel like you're making a lot of emotional decisions, one with the credit card, if credit cards are an issue, stop using them. We've been ingrained oh, well, you can't use debit because someone's going to steal it or things are protected. Things are encrypted. Your bank has protection for you. I'd rather that risk than the risk of you racking up credit card debt and not being able to pay for it for years and years and years at 28% interest. So if credit cards are just an issue, get rid of it. Use the debit card. Go back to the old school cash. Whatever it is, address that there if credit cards are an issue. But if you find that you're spending, look at your past month of transactions and look at what you spent and journal what emotion you were feeling when you bought this. Is it boredom? Is it sadness? Is it screw you? I'm doing it because I want to, because I can. Like, what emotion is it? And you may see a theme. You may see a certain time of day, late at night when you're scrolling on your phone. And that's when you make your Amazon purchases. So you have to start to identify trends with your spending. And awareness is a big one. So just being aware is good enough. Like, I know I spend late at night, delete the app off of your phone, shut your phone down, put your phone in another room. Or if you're buying things like, well, because I can and I don't have to answer to anyone, give yourself a budget for that. Give yourself a spending limit for that. Yeah, you can spend $200 a month on the screw you money. I'm doing whatever I want money. Set limits around it, set parameters around it. And that actually creates more freedom when you have parameters, because it takes the drama out of spending. Instead of like, oh my gosh, I bought this dress and I shouldn't have, and and like you're beating yourself up. Instead, it changes to, no, this was part of my $200 I could spend this month, and I chose to spend it on a dress. Good for me. We're just removing the drama from it unnecessarily.
Well, you talk about trends and looking for these behavioral patterns so that you can break these behavioral patterns. Part of your mission is to educate parents on how to educate their children about money. And obviously, that's got to be where this all starts. In one of your blog articles, you warn that there's several things you should not say to your child about money. What are some of these statements parents tend to make with children about money that you think could potentially have some long-term negative consequences for the child once they become an adult?
There's a couple, and we say it without even realizing it. It seems so harmless. And I'm not trying to put like another thing that we as parents have to worry about, but redirecting, reframing, bringing awareness. A very quick one is rich people are bad, or like driving through neighborhoods with big houses. Oh, we'll never be like that, or they're not nice, or who knows how they got their money. Just negative, because what that does is that creates in the child, oh, rich people are bad. And this is all subconscious. Then they may, when they become an adult, feel really weird if they make money and start to do well. They may have limiting beliefs. They may self-sabotage their careers, their businesses, because I don't want to be that bad person that mom told me about when I was 4. I don't want to be that. So I'm only going to make so much money so I can stay a good guy or a good girl. Another big one is we can't afford that.
Well, we've all heard that as kids.
We've all heard that. And a lot of times it's, I don't, child, have money to pay for that right now, or I don't want to spend my money on that right now. That may be what the parent is trying to say. There's 50 other things I need to buy for our household. This Barbie doll is not it right now. But we just say, oh, I can't afford that. Kids don't understand what is a lot of money, what is a little bit of money, what's expensive, what's inexpensive. Your child will say, Mommy, I want this Barbie doll. And you say, we can't afford that. And they hear that enough. In the child's mind, it's what else can't we afford? Can we not afford food? Can we not afford our house? Can we not afford my soccer team? The child doesn't understand it's an $11 Barbie doll and I don't want to buy it for you because I have other things to spend my money on, but they don't understand that. So that's a big one about like redirecting. I'll tell you the story just this week. I had to run into Dick's Sporting Goods to return some things, and I had my twin 6-year-olds with me, and they love Dick's, and like, it's like, oh my gosh, like this is all kinds of cool stuff there. And my boy loves soccer. I have boy-girl twins. My boy loves soccer. And he saw these World Cup soccer balls, these mini soccer balls that they're mysteries. So they're in a black box. You don't know which one you're going to get. And they're $29 mini soccer balls. And I'm like, I'm not spending $29 for a mini soccer ball. Not happening. So without this awareness, you could just say, no, we can't afford that. Or I'm not buying that for you. Or so it's like, well, I'm not going to spend that money. But if you really want this soccer ball, you have money in your piggy bank. Do you want to spend your own money on this soccer ball? And he's like, yeah, I do. Okay, cool. So what's going to happen is I'm going to pay for it. But then when we get home, before you even open it, before you even see what mystery ball you got, you're going to pay mommy back for your soccer ball. And I explained to them how much it was. I explained sales tax. He's like, it's $29. I'm like, yes, plus sales tax. So he's like, what's sales tax? But that stuff's important. Like they need to be aware of what we're spending on. And then my daughter wanted this thing for her bike that was $28 and pom-poms off her bike. Annabelle, same thing. Like, if you want this, she's like, well, how much is it? It's $28. She's like, no way. Great choice. Great choice. That's a very high price, in my opinion, for what they are. So one kid left with a soccer ball. And then as we were checking out, she found sunglasses she wanted. You want your sunglasses? Same story. You want to buy them? Because I'm like, I've bought her dozens of sunglasses that have been lost. So you want your sunglasses? Great. And odds are she'll take better care of these sunglasses now that she knows she used her own money versus the endless bank of mommy paying for these sunglasses.
Yeah.
So that is just a very small example of, and what that does is that empowers them. They left way happier knowing they made this decision. They're using their own money for it versus just me swiping my credit card and getting it for them. Yep, sure, here's your thing. There's so many lessons in there. And it's just changing the conversation. It turned into a positive experience versus a negative experience. Another one, don't tell your mom or don't tell your dad, we bought this, like hide it. That just creates spending money is bad, or you need to hide your finances from your partner, or we did something naughty. Money's naughty. Why are we hiding purchases and stuff? So it's like little things like that that seem harmless, just reframing it, just directing the conversation in a more positive way. And again, giving the kids some decision-making and some power is huge.
That's really amazing. You've taken on a lot with this firm and with your podcast. What do you see coming up over the next 12 months?
For my podcast listeners, I have created what I'm calling the Everyone's Talking Money Club. And what I envision it to be is a place for women to get more financial education. So it's a place where we can talk about episode topics. They get access to me. There's monthly calls. Everyone that joins gets an initial call with me to just kind of talk about what brought them here. What are some of their money challenges? I have a library of resources that's constantly being added to, and I'm pairing you up with other club members. So you're kind of getting a buddy. So in similar situations. So then it's like an accountability partner. That's what's coming up with Everyone's Talking Money is the club. And I'm really excited about it. And I set it at a price point that's very affordable, but you're going to get good value from it. You're going to get your money's worth. So that's what the podcast with my firm, I'm able to bring on some more clients for financial planning and financial coaching, more investing as well. I want more women to get their money working for them, to get the money off the sidelines, get it working for them in a way, in a pace that they feel comfortable with.
Is the Everyone's Talking Money Club a subscription?
Correct. It is a monthly or yearly subscription, whatever fits for your budget.
That's terrific. And I will list all those links below. Shari, I can understand why you have a successful podcast. It's really cool stuff that you're doing. But I do have two questions for you that I ask every guest. First, what is your tip for someone who is newly out of an abusive relationship? They're through all the chaos, but they now have to start over on nearly every level. What should their first phone call or internet search be when they're trying to start over financially?
There's a misconception that you have to have a lot of money to work with a financial planner. That's not the case. With some, it is true. Some, they do have minimums and stuff like that. But if you have questions about money, finding a trusted resource, finding someone that can help you holistically when it comes with your money, whether it's a coach, whether it's a planner, whether it's financial therapist or counselor, but finding someone that can help you. Because like you said, you're through the hard part, you're through the chaos. Now it's time to rebuild, and you don't want to waste time by second guessing yourself or getting into analysis paralysis. So finding someone that you trust, that you like, that can be in your corner and walk you through this and really help you build from the ground up, I think is essential. So don't feel like, well, I can't talk with a professional because I don't have enough money or because I don't even know where to start. The right professional will meet you wherever you are.
That is such great advice because it's so intimidating to think, well, I should call a financial planner, because you do think that. That is really great advice. What is your tip for someone listening who is still in a relationship of domestic violence and they haven't done anything yet to start to prepare to leave? What should they do financially if, one, they're the breadwinner, and two, if they don't have any financial control at all?
So if you are the breadwinner, don't assume that everything's yours. If you are married, there is a split. Money is likely to be split, but you need to understand where your income is deposited, who has access to those accounts. Are they joint accounts? Do you have shared credit cards or loans? Do you have shared passwords? Are there any tracking apps on your shared devices? So taking an inventory of everything you have and where it is and who has access to it is super important. If you're able to, start setting aside money somewhere your partner cannot access. Even buy gift cards while you're doing your regular shopping. Like if you are going to the grocery store, add a $50 gift card to your grocery store payment. So then you're creating your own savings account, and that can really just fly under the radar, a purchase like that. So I would say if you have some control or have access, make some moves like that by separating assets so you have something to land on when you do separate and leave. If you have no financial control, there may be organizations that can help you. Domestic violence organization, for example, can help you with shelter, transportation, legal aid, protective orders, housing resources. You don't have to solve the entire financial life before you leave. It's just what is safe for you and what's the safest next step. But really, even if you're not the breadwinner, understanding where your money is and who has control and access to it is super important.
Absolutely. Wonderful advice. Shari, I'm very happy to have had you on the show today, and you can contact Shari through her website as well as learn all about the resources she offers in helping you with your finances at www.GWAwealth.com. And you can catch Shari's podcast, Everyone's Talkin Money, on all major global podcast stations. I hope you come back again, Shari, to see us. And this is Lori G, and we're speaking out on financial abuse.